Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Spine Injury Solutions second quarter 2017 investors conference call. You must excuse my voice, but today we have Dr. Donovan will be on board with John Bergeron and our new Chief Operating Officer, Dr. Jeffrey Kronk. And so let me turn it over right now to John Bergeron, the Chief Financial Officer, so he can do the disclaimer. We can start the call.
This presentation includes forward-looking statements as determined by the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission, the SEC. All statements, other than statements of historical facts included in this presentation that address activities, events, or developments that the company believes or anticipates will or may occur in the future, are forward-looking statements. Such forward-looking statements involve known and unknown risks, uncertainties, and other factors which may cause the actual results, performance, or achievements of the company to be materially different from any future results, performance, or achievements expressed or implied by such forward-looking statements. Such factors include general economic and business conditions, the ability to acquire and develop specific projects, the ability to fund operations, healthcare service demands, changes in healthcare practices, government regulation, and other factors over which the company has little or no control. The company does not intend and is not obligated to update publicly any forward-looking statements. The contents of this presentation should be considered in conjunction with the warnings and the cautionary statements contained in the company's recent filings with the SEC.
Slide. Good afternoon. This is Dr. Bill Donovan, CEO. Welcome to our Q2 2017 conference call. With me today is John Bergeron, CFO, myself, and Dr. Jeff Kronk, COO. Before we get into the financial numbers, I'd like to discuss several issues affecting healthcare in general and spine injury solutions in particular. I've mentioned this before. Reimbursement is down for all doctors due to Affordable Care Act and now Trump Care. Number two, most total joints and spine surgery cases are now being done in ambulatory surgery centers. The reason I'm bringing this up is Jeff Kronk is going to talk about injury help centers, and it's really a office that has the ability to do major surgery, diagnostic workups, and so forth in one location. And Jeff will talk about these injury help centers and how we're going to blend this in with the affiliated doctor groups. And because of the changes in technology, and many of these spine cases and so forth can be done in ASCs or ambulatory surgery centers, we're going to talk about MIS, which is minimally invasive surgery. We're going to talk about laser spine surgery. We're going to talk about diagnostics. Well, these are all going to be centered in a hub type environment. Let's go back to page 5, go backwards about spine injury. As we mentioned many times, the code is SPIN, but we deliver turnkey solutions to spine surgeons, orthopedic surgeons, and other healthcare providers for patients with musculospine injuries resulting from work or automobile accidents. What Spine Pain does is we're a funding company for these diagnostics and invasive surgical procedures. We believe by facilitating early treatment through affiliated doctors, we believe the healthcare condition can be prevented from escalating, and injured victims, patients, can be quickly placed on the road to recovery. Through our affiliate program, we foster reasonable, necessary, and appropriate treatment. Next slide. Since spine injury started, next slide, we've performed almost 9,000 diagnostic procedures and have paid out over $9 million in funding for these procedures. And we've collected to date about 17 million. So we funded 9, we've collected 17, and there's an additional approximately 6 million in the pre-settlement phase. With the addition of Jeff as a COO, we feel that we can now really focus on the affiliated centers. And we've mentioned in the past 10 to 12 over the next 18 months. I'm giving Jeff a little leeway and saying 18 to 24 months. However, in order for us to execute this expansion, we're going to have to do some debt financing, probably $2 to $3 million. You know, in the last 7 years, we've raised in debt financing over $3 million, and everyone's been paid off that was due to be paid. So I feel that we have a strong record. However, there are no assurances that this financing can be obtained. Next slide. The last quarter, we talked about an advisory board, a professional advisory board. Larry Tilka, who's a practicing attorney, is the first member, and we're getting very close to a second member. We also said that we were looking for a COO, and we made an announcement today, and I'm very pleased to have Dr. Jeffrey Kronk on this call. Someone who's been on our board of directors for the past 2 years, and with some convincing, Jeff is very excited about being on board. He obviously understands the value of a public company, and he also understands the value of our proprietary video technology. And I'm going to have Jeff speak later in this call with a focus on the affiliated centers and these injury help centers. Next slide. We're now going to, the second part of the agenda is going to be doing with financials. But as we look at before the, on the spine injury solutions, on that last page at the top, it says video transparency is always the best solution. And when we said that 3 years ago, everybody thought we were crazy. Well, video technology and transparency has really come front center right now. And here's John Bergeron, who will go over the financials. John?
Thank you, Dr. Donovan. It was a relatively quiet quarter for us, with an emphasis on looking at adding additional affiliates. We did spend a little bit of extra money on trying to promote our Quad Video Halo. So if you will look at just the snapshots real quick, the shareholder equity stands at $2.5 million, with current assets and liabilities at 1.7. We have an approximate market cap at 24 cents, about $5 million. Next slide, please. As you can tell, the revenue, it was down a little bit. Bill was concentrating more on finding some additional facilities. He did a lot of traveling, which kind of resulted in fewer revenue. The gross margin is still strong. It's up from 3 points from last year. The 417, about 417,000 of SG&A, 85 of that is non-cash. The rest of it is pretty much self-explanatory. It's not even a penny per share earnings. Next slide, please. Awesome. As you can tell, we still have enough cash and we still have enough money on the line to conduct our business. We do have some debt that will be renegotiated in the third quarter this year. I don't expect there to be any problems. We still have equity over 20 million, and I think that's pretty much says what it is. And with that, I'll return it back to Bill.
On the screen now, you see up at the top is the video transparency is always the best solution. Let's review the historical growth dealing with cases and collections. Obviously, that green tower over to the right, it's just about, well, we've collected more than 17 million right now because this is at the end of Q2. But the cases have continued to increase, and with significant collections, the model works. And in a 7-year history, only 3.9% of the cases went completely south with no collection. And we feel this percentage will stay similar as we go to the future. Next slide. On this slide, we're talking about cases and procedures. If you go back 7 years, the case number and procedure numbers were fairly close. But now you notice to the right, there's more procedures per cases because we're attracting the bigger cases. And the bigger cases, the video documentation and transparency is so important. And the other thing that's important is 75% of these procedures have come from 4 cities with a population under of 150,000 citizens. We're targeting this niche market. The big cities can be a problem in dealing with the economics with doctors and so forth. But there are a lot of cases in these mid-sized cities. Next slide. I'm just going to review quickly with a quad video. So there may be some people on here that has not seen it or heard from us before. But there's competitors out there, sorta, but we're completely different. And when I say a competitor, it would be like GoPro, where you wear the camera on your surgical hat, or using loops with video. Well, we're totally different. We have a system that's been put together. It works. We have a patent. We have a CE mark. We've applied for a European patent. And I think what's important is surgeons are looking for high quality video that can be seen from different areas and angles. On this particular slide, we show it with 4 different angles. Well, you could have it at 6 different, you could have it at 2, you could have it at 12. But as we're focusing on these injury help centers where spine surgery is going to be done, and many of this will be MIS or minimally invasive surgery, where a scope is used, where we can then tap the video from the scope, and it would show x-rays, it would show the actual disc herniation and so forth. And this is why, in addition to the QVH that you see on the slide now, we have the RX, which in some situations will be used just for open surgery. We're also looking in these injury help centers where you would actually have a QVH like this with the C-arm and an RX where the patients first have diagnostics with a QVH and then documentation with the RX for the open surgical procedure. And the real future of spine surgery is the minimally invasive spine surgery and the laser spine surgery. And that's where we're focusing a lot with the injury help centers. Next slide. The components obviously are the high def cameras. We're getting much smaller size cameras now, about the size of your thumb. We have a good LED light which shows right on to the area where you're doing the diagnostic procedure. And then we have an adjustable circular clamp that attaches to the x-ray machine, and we can put any type of recording device onto this system. And the patent is a circular adjustable band that you can attach any type of recording device. Next slide. And as we put the components together, in many situations, we'll use a Halo cart, 27-inch monitor. And this is the real the part of the deal that separates us from everything else, because as we're doing the diagnostic procedure, it goes straight into the internet, into a secure space, and we're able to protect it there, and if necessary, compress it, bring it down, put it into a DVD, if that's what the doctor wants. We use the barcode scanner, and in each procedure, we do a typical written surgical consent, but we also do a video surgery consent. And the patients, they love it. And the documentation is really top notch. And as we're doing procedures, no matter wherever, we're in contact with David and his team down by NASA. They can remotely monitor and fix any problems that come up. So it's a huge gain in technology, and we're looking at some newer things that we're going to incorporate, and we'll talk about those as we implement them. Next slide. If we try to compare us with other systems, nobody has what we have. The documentation is really top notch. We don't interfere with the doctor doing whatever he's in the process of doing. So we have good quality films. Patients are awake. And as you can see on the screen right now, this patient is on her tummy. The box, the left upper quadrant box, you can see her dark hair. You can see the C-arm above it. Then you can see the video cameras. The doctor has now prepped the area, and there's two people. The one on the right is the doctor who's going to be doing the procedure, and the person on the left is the x-ray tech. And the x-ray tech is monitoring the positions of the cameras. She's also using the X-ray machine, which is shown in the right lower quadrant. So the left lower quadrant, the doctor now is ready to inject the needle, and the right lower quadrant shows the needle going into place. So we're now seeing the body in the outside and the inside. The patient is awake, and it's audio visual, so we're picking up any response verbally, and you can see how the doctor can feel very comfortable seeing the patient with 4 different views. So the needle's in place, whatever procedure he's doing, and this happens to be an epidural, interlaminar epidural block. So it really provides good documentation. And if you want to zero in and enlarge a particular quadrant, that can be done. So, and we're working with some other methods to show. It'll be for the RX for sure. Pulses, spinal cord monitoring, and so forth. So we're able to add in anything that's in an electronic file. We can capture the video and so forth. So here the doctor is now doing a second procedure, and this is a nerve block procedure. And you can see the patient moving her head. So she's having some discomfort and pain, which is documented on the audio. So this, once again, gives you, we feel the QVH in this particular case is recording in 4 different views, and it gives everybody a true representation of what this patient is going through. Next slide. We'll let the patient finish having her procedure. How do we compare with the other systems? Well, we're not a GoPro, that's for sure. We have a system that is really secure. And our key is that when the video is being produced, it's not kept locally, it's piped high speed into secure real-time HD directly to the cloud, box.com, and stored in an affiliate designated account. Access to this account is controlled by QVH. So if you're a doctor and you're trying to do videos and get the videos back, but you don't want to pay us for the use of the machine, you're not going to get it. But QVH controls the access in and out of the cloud. And we know, we've learned this, that all attorneys, plaintiff defense doesn't matter, they're aware of what QVH does. The patients love it. They know your best docs who are comfortable doing a video, they like that. They know only necessary procedures will be done. And if the patient does experience pain, just like on this case we had, it's documented by the audio-visual components. Next slide. I'm really excited now to get into the affiliate network and the injury help centers. For those who don't know, Jeff Crunk is a terrific person, very focused, very smart. We've known each other for some time now. He's been on our board of directors for the last 2 years. And he and I have spent many hours on the phone talking. How do we make our documentation better? How do we help patients? How do we help the whole ecosystem involved? So it is truly a pleasure to have Jeff involved with the company as our COO. And I would like Jeff now, he's going to talk about a couple slides, but Jeff, give everybody your background. Jeff was a practicing chiropractor. He is in education now. He studied, got his JD. But Jeff, give our investors a feeling for you have come from and how you envision what we have and how together we can really help patients with these type injuries. So everyone, this is Dr. Jeff Kronk. He's one of the super docs. Jeff.
Okay, great. Thank you very much, Bill. I appreciate the intro, and of course, I appreciate the being involved and now coming on and taking a greater role with the company. Over the next quarter, you're going to see us build something out that we'll call the Center of Injury Health, and it's the hub. It's the hub that Bill has been talking about, and what I got so excited about, my background is as Bill has stated, I was a treating doctor for 17 years. So I did lots and lots of treatment on patients with injuries. I then spent the last 12, 13 years in diagnostics to improve the diagnostic algorithms in spinal injuries, to make spinal injuries more understood and diagnosed in a manner that allowed people the treating doctors to better understand exactly what the patient had. My whole career has been based on helping people to get better results, whether it was patients to get better results, now doctors to get better results. And so everything that I focused on has been to improve results, to improve outcomes, to reduce costs, and that's all I've been about. So when we Dr. Donovan and I spent time talking about what a hub could be, it just blended naturally into what I've already been doing for a very long time. So, over the next quarter, we'll be starting to build out more and more information about the, exactly what the hub is and how it actually benefits. But for the people on today, it's a place where our program will draw in top injury professionals in any area, and injury patients deserve the best services that they can possibly get. And that's what we intend to facilitate with these hubs. Who benefits from it is very easy to say. The patients benefit from it because they get better results. I don't think anybody in the world would disagree that everyone who is under videotape, who's being videoed, is performing at a higher level. I don't care what service industry you're in. I don't care if you're in the medical service industry, if you're in the police service industry, if you're in the restaurant service industry. I don't care who it is. Anybody who's being videoed is going to do a better job. And in the area of injury work and patient care, that's really critical because injured patients deserve the best. And so obviously it can produce better results, and that's what got me so excited about it. As far as an affiliate, it can significantly improve their business relationships, and in time I'll start to explain exactly how that works. These hubs can also assist the providers that are currently treating these patients, right? So there's a lot of providers that need specific services. There's a lot of doctors of chiropractic, there's a lot of general practitioners, there's a lot of physical therapists, there's a lot of providers that treat injury patients every single day that need advanced procedures and need advanced diagnostics. Not in all cases, but in the cases that it's deemed medically necessary or it's deemed consistent with a medical model for referral. So we intend for that hub to be a center where all of the local providers can actually have services that help them and the injured parties that they take care of. We also want the hub to be a help to all attorneys. And that doesn't just mean everybody kind of thinks with the plaintiff attorney side. Well, there's also a defense attorney side, and people are involved in medical legal situations, and attorneys are often involved, and it becomes an adversarial environment. With a hub and with what we're intending to produce, it should add to or contribute to a much less adversarial environment, because with objectivity and transparency and better documentation, it doesn't have to be so adversarial. And of course, that also benefits the insurance companies themselves. So what a hub, the whole purpose of the hub is to benefit all of the parties involved. Because when you can bring solutions that all parties involved win with, then it's something that everybody gets interested in, and it can really start to build. So if you change to the next slide for me. Good. So, to kind of talk a little bit more, right down in layman's terms, most injury patients are simultaneously involved in a medical legal process whose sole purpose is to determine any benefits that the patient's legally entitled to, not benefits they're not entitled to, not benefits that they're, but not to deny them benefits that they are entitled to. And when that cannot be agreed upon or resolved, then patients sue, and there's an at-fault party, and there's a lawsuit and court proceedings, and all of that results. And that is the nature of the injury market. This is very time-consuming and very expensive for all parties involved. So an affiliate will improve this process by providing better diagnostics. That's better injury identification. Better injury identification means that it's objective, which means it's agreed upon. You can't argue with what you agree upon. And better diagnostics make it easier to understand exactly what the patient has. Better medical management of injuries means that you get better results. And just period, plain and simple. Better injury documentation means that everybody's communication is better. So it's easier for all parties to look over the documentation and say, hey, this is clearly stated. This is very easy to determine that this has occurred, this was the injuries that have occurred, and this is the level and the response to these injuries. So it makes for a much more effective patient benefit determination process, and we're concerned with that. Everybody in the market should be concerned with that, because again, the better the communication that you provide, the easier it is for everybody in the market to do their job. And patients will now have access to medical specialists and medical services, which in the past they might not have normally had access to. So we also know that patients will feel a lot more comfortable, especially if an educated patient will. I don't think today, if patients understood what can go on in a procedure, that they would not want to have procedures videoed. Everyone would want to have. I can't imagine myself, after understanding what Dr. Donovan has, brought together and what Spin has put together as far as technology, and after I understood it, I could never envision myself doing any kind of a surgical procedure or any kind of an invasive, even a minimally invasive procedure without it being videoed. So video is definitely the future, and we're definitely right at the right point for that future. Today people do not fully trust all medical providers, and I don't think it's not something that people don't know and understand. Video, I think, brings back that trust, because if a provider is willing to be videoed, if I am a doctor, I don't care if you're a doctor of chiropractic, if it's a doctor of osteopathy, you're a surgeon, you're a physiatrist, if you are willing to have your examinations, say, or your procedures videoed, I think it shows that, it shows everybody and all parties involved that you're fully capable of being trusted. And it doesn't mean that mistakes couldn't be made or anything else, but it means that you're there to do your job. You're highly competent, and you're highly confident in your ability to do your job, and you certainly don't mind being videoed. And so, that, to me, that is the future, and that's what I got excited about. Go ahead to the next slide. Oh, good. So,
but Jeff, I want to thank you for those comments. And I think for our investors, Jeff has a long history, first as a treating doctor, then into the research, documentation, developing companies that document ligament injuries and so forth. And he's taken that to webinars and seminars. He knew 2 years ago when he came on our board and has learned about what we do with the video documentation, how this would blend in with what he's been doing. And our goal is to establish some new hubs, affiliate doctors with all diagnostics, but also to go back to existing affiliated groups and implement some of the processes that will be used for a new hub. And what Jeff is really, really good at is, let's say 5 of our investors are DCs, 5 are interventional pain, and 5 are GPs, whatever. You'll come to our website and what's being developed, and they'll ask you, are you a DC, a family doc, a surgeon, interventional pain, whatever, and you click on that. You're then going to be presented with options, and it's helping us understand this individual. Is he somebody we can build a hub with? Or is he somebody, or this doctor could be someone we could add to an affiliated practice that we already have. So we want to take Jeff's ability from a management standpoint, a marketing and development, and blend it with what we have done with the video technology and so forth. So what I'd like to do now is open up to any questions and answers for the 3 of us, both John Bergeron, myself, and Jeff Crunk.
Okay, we do have some questions here. Let's see. On the last conference call, it was suggested that a single affiliate who can average 25 procedures a month can generate some $800,000 a year in net revenues and 2 to 3 cents a share in net income. Excuse me. My questions are 2. 1, is 25 procedures a month a reasonable goal for a good affiliate? And 2, about how large a city is required to generate 25 procedures a month? And that was directed actually at Jeff, if he has the answers, or either one, I guess.
Well, number 1, yes, a good affiliate can do 25 procedures a month. Number 2, as we showed in one of our slides, 3/4 of our procedures have been done in cities less than 150,000 population. So you go out to West Texas, there's a lot of cities less than 150,000. All over Texas, there's opportunities, not just in West Texas. But yes, the answer is yes. And 150,000 and less, you can still, there's a lot of patients.
Okay, here's another short question. Collections seem to have been down a little bit the last couple of quarters. How is this quarter looking?
Q3, I don't know. I know that we've had, Tim could address this better, but we've had a large number of big commercial cases over the last 2.5 years. Commercial cases take longer to settle than your typical run-of-the-mill $30,000 case. And all of a sudden now, we're getting quite a few of these big cases to settle. So hopefully they'll settle within Q3. But remember, we have no control over when a case settles. But what we do know, we're having bigger cases, more procedures because they're complex cases, but it also takes longer to settle. But they will settle, and we'll get 3.9% that won't settle for zero. So,
okay. On the last conference call, company felt it would not be unrealistic to add 10 to 12 affiliates if cash was available for the next 18 and I guess 24 a month. This was actually directed to Dr. Cronk. Since he's going to be handling the affiliate growth, does he feel this could be achievable? In other words, 10 to 12 affiliates over the next 18 to 24 months.
Good. So that's a great question for me coming on. I will be able to answer that question very, very clearly within the next quarter. So I will be taking over on that project. And of course, any projections that the company has had, those are targets that we're going to be looking at and looking to be able to fulfill. But my role in any company is improvement. And as soon as you start to get improvement, you can scale that improvement quite dramatically. But until I'm, at least from my point of view on this particular call, until I'm in and started, I won't really comment on that until we actually get rolling and get started.
Okay, we got a bunch of questions from Lee Gao. I wish my voice were better. I hope it holds up. Excuse me. Okay, let's see. His first question is, today's PR, it says West Texas, Lubbock, Texas, will become active in the third quarter of 17. What does this mean? Dr. D mentioned a prior conference call in PR that the procedures had started in April already. So that's question one. Bill?
Yeah, we're seeing patients in Lubbock. Another opportunity has come up in West Texas that could turn into a hub. So I was blending those two together. The two towns are not next to each other, but every area is different, and the needs of the treating doctors are different. So I wanted to use West Texas / Lubbock to say there are some very good opportunities in these smaller cities. And hopefully we'll have something that we can talk about in this present quarter.
And I believe that the Lubbock leads have been going to Midland, Odessa. Excuse
That's
me.
correct.
In the earlier months anyway. Okay,
That's
second
correct.
question. When to open the next affiliate? Please be specific. This is again from Lee Gao. Please be specific. Dr. D said several NDAs soon, too many times, but has never delivered. Do you really expect to have one open this quarter?
I think we'll have one open. And what we want to do is get a nice hub open, and that's what Jeff and I are working on right now.
Okay, question 3. Board of Direction members own 46% of the stock, and over 75% of their shares were all bought in the open market at prices as high as $2 a share. Dr. Cronk, as the new COO, is very optimistic about Spin's future. In press release, just a minute here, let me scroll down here. With the current stock price of 30 cents, does the COO plan to buy some shares in the open market? And how about the rest of management?
Let me speak for myself. I bought open shares in the market for many years. I don't speak for any other board members, but when the opportunity is right for me, my history has been I've bought shares. So I can only speak for myself.
Okay. Hello. Let me see here, Dr. Oh, this has to do with halo sales out of PI, for example, in regenerative medicine arena. Dr. D's been talking excitement in this area for quite a while, but we never saw any halo sales for this use. So, are you still looking at regenerative medicine, I guess is the question.
Yeah, yes, we are very interested in regenerative medicine, and regenerative medicine would be ideal for a hub because you would have all the technology and the doctors present in one facility that can do it. The future of regenerative medicine is huge. And once again, the key is documentation. With stem cells into the disc, neck, and low back, you have to use a C-arm. Ultrasound doesn't really work. Knees and shoulders, ankles, elbows, you can use ultrasound. But ultrasound's hard to read for lay people. And that's why, I mean, you can videotape it. It's electronic signal, but it's hard to read. But for the cervical and lumbar disc, it would be ideal.
Okay, here's a question for Jeff. How confident are you that your other commitments will not interfere with your commitment to SPIN? And or do you view your outside interests complementary to SPIN getting business? Please restate the numbers goal of new affiliates to be achieved over the next, well, we covered that in the last question. Well, actually, I think I just ran two together here. I'm sorry. That was Steve Miller's question. Effectively, it's to Jeff and how does he feel he's going to have enough time to do everything he wants to do at the same time, and it will be complementary to SPIN as he's doing these other, like spinal kinetics and such.
Yeah. Okay, that's a great question. So the things that I'm currently involved in really marry well into. That's why I sat and took a lot of time to think about coming on board. They marry very well into what SPIN wants to create in a hub. So it allows me to, yes, I still am involved in these activities, and I still will do a good job with those as I'll do with SPIN, but it allows me to marry this quite easily, and they merge in very, very, very easily. So it forms kind of a nice union that SPIN will be able to take advantage of.
Okay, we have it's a technical question. I'm not sure anybody here can answer it, or I'm not even know if I can really ask it properly. It's from Carl Scherer. Good evening. Thanks for the presentation. Let me play devil's advocate since many clients come up with these questions. So here's the question I'm passing on. What is the difference to the high definition cameras divided by screens catching every move by, I don't know, Dr. House, X-ray, etc. on TV? Already five. Oh, I guess what he's saying is that Dr. House used to have all this stuff on TV 5 years ago. But I guess that's what he's saying. But I think what I guess the difference is, he's asking here, what is the difference between, I guess, the high definition cameras, the 1080p versus the 4D and whatever else is going on right now? Do we have anybody in the call can handle that since Spencer's not on the call?
I think the way to look at this, it's the system that we've developed. It's a great system, and taking just the picture is only part of the system. The method of documentation, the method of storage, the method of being able to access the system, to be able to do a print, a photo print, the ability to have a DVD. This wasn't available 5 years ago, if it was. And I've been doing videos for 40 years. This type of what we're using is very sophisticated documentation technology. And what David has put together is a really great closed system where all the information is protected. So, yeah, they may have had some video stuff. I mean, we've been doing videos forever. The knee surgery, shoulder surgery. But what we're talking about here is totally different, more complicated, more sophisticated. And you have to be HIPAA compliant and so forth. So the technology is much better than what they were doing on TV 5 years ago.
Right. Okay, Steve Miller, how will you go about obtaining the additional funding needed to proceed with the affiliate expansion?
Well, our steps are the following. I knew we'd need a COO, so we got Jeff to be involved. Number two, we have good documentation of the money that we collect. Number three, as I said earlier in the program, we raised over $3 million through debt, and most of that's all been paid off on time. And we have some line of credit that still exists. But we've raised money in the past. So we were in fact today talking about a Dun & Bradstreet rating, which we're going to make sure we get all the paperwork completed and so forth. And I think we need to go the debt route. It'll probably be a high yield debt of some type. But all our debt money we've ever raised before, we've always paid off the investors. So I think our track record and the type of business that we're in, this arena is $250 billion a year. This is more than diabetes and heart disease combined. It's less than cancer, obviously, and it's less than chronic pain. Chronic pain is $600 billion a year. So we're in a very large market. We have some good technology, and I think that we're looking for some kind of debt financing that will grow with us.
So let me address that, if I could, because it's really my background. I've been, giving my 2 cents worth to the company. But yes, when you talk about, we're talking about maybe a hybrid. If anybody's interested, we will probably make some available to our own shareholders if they want to. But we're talking about a high yield hybrid type of asset-based type of financing. Before some of the banking changes that were put in place 10, 12 years ago, banks used to love to finance these personal injury cases because they have big returns and they're very well covered. You can see by our small failure rate that we have over here. But because of with the Quad Video Halo adding to it and whatever the reasons being, you can see the margins keep increasing on what Spin has been showing quarter over quarter. And now they're getting to a point where you can easily lend at 12% and still come back with a rate of return, maybe overall on average of 70 to 80% within 12 to 15 months. So much in the way that a GE Finance used to do, they'd go out. Of course, they had great credit, so they could sell their paper to the public for 2.5%, 3%, maybe commercial paper or whatever. And then they turn around and lend it at 7 or 8%. They make money on the spread. Well, we're a finance company. That's what we do too. All the Quad Video Halo, we give it away. Why? Because it's all part of getting it back. But if you look at the company's successful track record, I don't believe it's going to be very difficult at all to find the right hybrid venture capital fund that would be willing to look at a 10 to 12% interest rate in this market environment we're in right now. At least not the feelers I put out. My desire, though, is to go to Wall Street with this financing, or maybe even a crowdfunding type of source, where we can actually increase the audience, which will also facilitate future shareholders of the company. if the people, put 5,000 or 10,000 in the debt, they might want to go buy 5 or 10,000 shares of the stock as well. But we've never done an equity financing before now, and I think we're way past the point to worry about having to do one now. I think we can go the debt route with this in just a slightly larger scale than what we've already been doing. So hopefully that.
Art, let me add one
question.
thing. On the very first financing we did,
Yeah.
it was 300,000 or 600,000, whatever, 600,000. 2 defense attorneys each put up 100 grand. They were all paid off after 3 years. They were happy. These were defense attorneys. So
okay, we have a question here from Bill Ryan, Dr. Ryan. Dr. Donovan, as a surgeon yourself, please comment on the QVH and QVRX in regard to specifically how well they improve the surgeon's lighting of the visual fields in the surgery and procedures where QVH and QVRX are used and will be used. How advantageous is the lighting system over previous systems in use?
Great question. There's 2 parts of the lighting system. As Bill knows, there's the overhead lighting systems. Number 2, whenever we do spine surgery, we use headlamps. 3 years ago, there loops or any kind of magnification with a headlight. 3 years ago, you go to the academy meeting, nobody had video cameras attached to the headset. Last year, there were 1. This year, I went to the academy meeting. There were 3 companies that sold headlights with a small video camera attached on top of the light. People know that video documentation is important. So from an external source, the overhead lights are much better. The headlights are so much better with the magnification. But we're also looking at a year ago or a year and a half ago, we did a video up in the Detroit area that used a robot. And the video from that robot output was incredible. Well, we're dealing with some surgeons who use a scope to take out the disc. Well, the video documentation from that is good, which means the light source outside the body, be it the typical lights in the OR or the headlights, or you're taking input from a scope, an arthroscope type piece of equipment, or a microscope, or a robot. We're getting really good documentation. The light sources are so much better than they were 5 years ago, so much better than they were 2.5 years ago. So the source of the light is good, where we can get down to the real source. Well, doctor, did you see a disc herniation at the time of surgery? Yes, I did. Do you have a video of it? No. A year from now, they're going to ask the same question. Well, yes, here's the video. So the light sources are important, and they're much better every year because everything's going towards video. It really is, just like the police, wearing the video. The documentation on video with surgery has really started to take off now.
Here's another question from Lee Gal, which I guess I missed the first time. It's a good question. Texas law changes. Let's see. Texas law changes that allows chiropractors to own integrated medical practices from September 1st, 2017 on. How is Spin going to capitalize on this?
We're already working on it now. When we talk about a hub, we're talking about various doctors involved ownership. It's really good that they did this because it's good for the patients where both a DC and an MD can own the medical practice. And it's going to be good for everybody. And where we know the number one attorney in Texas, Larry Laurent, who does most of these deals in the past, I've been in contact with him twice already. So it's going to be very beneficial to patients. It's going to be beneficial to affiliated doctors, and it's going to be beneficial to Spine Injury Solutions. That's a good question.
Okay. Yeah, here's somebody else has another question. This will be the last one. What about direct sales of the QVH apart from the affiliates? Is that now history? That's from Steve Miller.
No, absolutely not. There is certain situations, direct sales to non-affiliates is alive and well. That's all I can say right now.
Well, I guess doesn't appear to be any more questions. So hey, there were some really great questions this time.
I just want to appreciate Jeff being involved today, actually being involved as a COO, which is really cool. To have John involved and to have our shareholders get involved. Most of you shareholders have been with us on this journey for a long time. And let me tell you, the system works. The patients are getting better care, and the video documentation, there's no question, video transparency is always the best solution. And I'm going to work as hard as I can until we get to the point where people and the development's really going to happen. Jeff is a key part of this. We have some terrific people with this company. John Bergeron, my son Tim, that handles all the financial collections and everything, and David with the QVH. So we've been blessed with talent, and it's going to happen. And we just have to be plugging every day. And I'm as energized now as I've ever been. So
you forgot about Matt. We don't want to hurt his feelings. He is still involved too.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, of course. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Okay.
I was distracted. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Okay. Well.
But thanks for being involved today.